Destiny 2 fixed a lot of the problems the first game had, and we're generally big fans of it. But like with every big game release, we like to dive deeper after people have actually played the game for a while to see what's really bothering the hardcore players. Think of this less as complaints and more as constructive criticism. We've looked at what you guys out there are saying, and we've come back with 10 things Destiny 2 players hate. Starting off at number 10, okay, this one is super annoying, and this isn't something that Bungie did wrong. This actually has to do with the people that play Destiny 2 sometimes. When you're playing Crucible and you're playing Supremacy and no one picks up the crest after they kill someone, or if you die right next to them and they don't even bother to pick up your crest, it's definitely the single most annoying thing in Destiny 2's PvP modes. Oh my god. For those of you that don't know, Supremacy is pretty much your standard team deathmatch, but when you get a kill, the opponent drops a crest, and you don't get credit for that kill unless you pick up the crest. You can also pick up a dead teammate's crest to prevent the other team from getting credit for that kill. It's basically a kill confirm mode. A lot of players just straight up don't know how this mode works, or they're just choosing to ignore the crest, which doesn't make sense because at that point, why are you even playing? Pick the damn crests up. But at number 9, Destiny 2 introduced these consumable scout reports that can be purchased and highlight where chests containing rep tokens and glimmer are out in the world. The reports are active for a total of 4 hours and are kind of like an incentive to go out and hunt down or farm chests. However, the big caveat though, if too many chests are looted in too quick an amount of time, usually under like half an hour, the chest stops spitting out tokens and glimmer, and you're kind of just opening chests to see the chest opening animation. We've seen people frustrated that they are on the one hand encouraging chest farming by creating an item specifically for it, while on the other hand implementing a mechanic that goes directly against it and prevents any meaningful farming from being possible. While at first it can come off as a balance thing, players have made the point that one player gets almost no advantage from having more tokens than another player. Sure, they have more chances for loot engrams, but all of that loot is underleveled and will, more often than not, ultimately just get broken down for shards and gunsmith materials. And that it feels like Bungie trying to artificially extend the grind. Some players are saying that though. How do you guys feel? Because at number 8, this one is admittedly minor, but let's talk about the story. The original vanilla Destiny had a pretty muddled story due to cuts and last-minute changes and design choices, so while the bones of the story did remain, expansions and side content only really brought on subplots. We got Oryx and Crota, some stuff with nanites, and all that stuff, but now Destiny 2, everything is kind of on pause after the invasion of the Red Legion and the fall of the last city. We haven't gotten any progression into the deeper stuff that Destiny 1 set up, like the overarching threat of the looming darkness and the Stranger and all that even. In fact, we haven't heard much about that stuff at all in Destiny 2's base game. Disappointingly to some, it seems like Destiny 2's team just decided to abandon some Destiny plots from the original game. Luke Smith even said that they went back on the darkness, but maybe we'll see it in future expansions? As nice as it was for Destiny 2 to have a somewhat cohesive story, I've seen some fans lament the lack of progress within this whole world. Someone worded it well in saying, Destiny 2 is entertaining, but it feels like a middle setup adventure in a trilogy, something to keep the characters busy before taking on the big thing. Perhaps expansions will, expand things, but we just saw it as a common thread between players. Other players just say, hey, we don't care about the story, we're just here to shoot things. And I think that's pretty fair too. And at number 7, we have those single-use shaders. From day one, this has been a big complaint from players. The change from a shader or color choice being yours and yours forever is no longer a thing. Now each shader you pick up is completely expendable. This has led to people kind of lamenting the inclusion of microtransactions once again, claiming that shaders now being single-use are kind of used to incentivize people to spend in-game money. Personally, I don't know how much weight that has, but people are saying it. And thankfully, that doesn't seem to be the case. I mean, people are dropping tons of shaders. This is divisive though. It's split down the middle. Some people say they never get enough of the color they really want or need, while others claim they are stockpiling ones they never use. But some getting too many and some not getting enough is the biggest issue here, but it really comes with the territory, because in games like this, you live or you die by the randomizing elements. But at number 6, speaking of divisiveness, let's talk about the raid. The raid is on the list for a variety of reasons. Raids have always been divisive, and for good reason. The first thing I noticed though is that some folks hate the raid here because it's too difficult, and that's fine. But funny enough, I see more people hating the raid because apparently it's too easy. The most common complaint I've seen is that people are mad that the raid is just too easy. Once you figure it out and have good team communication, it can be done. It's certainly not a cakewalk, but it seems like players just wanted more. The boss is even finicky, we will say that for sure, but the 3 areas look to be changed over time on a consistent basis. So maybe that'll please some players, but otherwise all we can really do is wait for the next raid and hope it's even better. At number 5, let's talk about some of the game's design. Destiny 2 got rid of perk diversity and eliminated the RNG role for all that stuff. now every gun is basically a frame with no perk diversity whatsoever, and all options for the gun are unlocked from the get-go. If you have the gun, you have the best and only version of that gun. The stated advantage to this is that all guns are balanced for PvP, which, fair enough, but with all the guns being the same, it kills the fun involved with the thrill of the chase or the surprise of getting that good roll of a gun you like. And players seem upset because balance shouldn't be much of an issue since Crucible disables weapon perks by default anyway. The same goes for armor too. Now that mods exist and the intellect, discipline, strength stat system is out of the window, non-exotic armor is just a blank canvas, and what piece of legendary gear you choose ultimately just comes down to a style decision now. By default, pretty much every piece of gear is identical. Just choose the one you like, infuse it to a higher level, and slot a mod you want into it. And if you find a nicer looking piece later, you can just do the same thing and it'll be functionally identical. Sure, exotics still have game-changing perks, but that's it. In Destiny 1, average gear gave you perks like faster reload on auto rifles, increased grenade recharge on orb pickup, stuff like that. More notably though, raid gear had perks that would help you in future runs. Kingsfall gear would give you perks like bonus precision damage against, taken or increased armor while carrying the King's Fall relic. Leviathan doesn't really give you anything like that, just more armor that are essentially blank slates, and it just doesn't feel as, it just doesn't have as much oomph to it. Essentially, Destiny 2 lacks a white whale. Everything is more or less the same, and there's no real big carrot on the stick to keep players going. I've seen a lot of people arguing about this new structural change to weapons and armor, just kind of changing things up a bit too much. Which kind of leads us to our next big thing receiving some hate, and at number 4, let's talk about the grind. It just seems easier this time. I've seen a lot of folks talking about how Destiny 2 has gone quote-unquote casual, based on the fact that the initial road to 20 takes much less of a grind than what we've seen in previous Destiny gameplay, and the way the game is structured to reward just, bumbling through public events and being rewarded the same even if you suck is a bit of a letdown. This isn't a new complaint though. Even from Destiny 1, some people just want more grind no matter what, but some people want less. There's a hard middle ground to find, and Bungie definitely tried to find it with Destiny 2, but did they succeed? I think that depends on who you ask, but we've seen the word easy come up way too much and get a lot of hate for Destiny 2, so we wanted to point it out. At number 3, we've noticed people don't really seem to like the timers in the Nightfall, which is understandable. It's pretty annoying. I've fallen victim to it a few times now. I mean, it sucks to go to the end of the Nightfall only to start the boss battle off with little to no time left, and there aren't any anomalies in the boss room that you can shoot to add time, and when you run out, that's it. It's all over. Instead of having an end, maybe just lessen the reward you get from the chest at the end of it. I don't like being taken out of it. We've seen that idea popping around online, and I think it might be a cool change. The Nightfall is supposed to be hard, I get it, but a timer? That just kind of makes it annoying for some people. We might be okay with it, but we've seen a lot of other people point it out. It just feels like a weird step forward for Nightfalls coming from the modifiers in the first game. We're not saying remove the timer, and I haven't seen many people say that, just to make it easier, but the Nightfall is supposed to be hard, and that's the whole point, so maybe it could just be approached differently. I don't know. It's hard to explain. But at number 2, Bungie made a kind of a weird change to strikes in Crucible. You can no longer pick exactly what you want to do. Strikes are randomly chosen, so you can't just go ahead and play one specific strike, and with Crucible, you aren't able to pick what game mode you want to play. Which sucks, because if you really don't like a game mode, you're forced to play it, which can kind of make it not fun for some people. Especially, it's like when you don't like Brussels sprouts and your mom makes you eat them anyway. It's just, you're not gonna have a good time. We've seen a lot of players bring this up and stress that they kind of just want more freedom, and when you pay $60, you should be able to play whatever you want, right? Judging from what we've seen the developers say, it seems like they are listening and they are going to add some options, at least private matches soon, but we would just like to see matchmaking get a little bit more fleshed out. But at number 1, the thing we've seen get a lot of hate, hate's a bit of a strong word, but we've seen a lot of people complaining about it from reviewers to fans, and that's just the fact that there's no new enemy types. Hive, Fallen, Cabal, the Taken, all over again. Well, we've gotten some nice new variations within them. Most people absolutely want more, and shooting at mostly the same things seems like a little bit of a letdown. You would expect a whole new sequel to a game and that takes place in space to have new aliens to shoot at. So, hey, Bungie, just give us something new to shoot, will ya? But those are some things we've seen some Destiny 2 players really have some issues with. And these are just the things that players really kind of hate and want to see changed. So hopefully Bungie's listening. I mean, Destiny has always been kind of like an evolving game, but we want to hear from you guys. If you are playing Destiny 2, we do want to hear what bothers you the most. Give us a change from Destiny 1 that you hate and one that you love. Let's talk about anything Destiny 2 down in the comments. We'll be down there talking to you guys, but clicking the like button does help us out. And if you're new, you should subscribe because we put out new stuff all the time. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.